Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. Welcome and thank you again. We know that your time is valuable, so our goal is to provide you with as much quality information as possible while giving it to you in a concentrated, palatable format. A few quick notes for this week. We have expanded our time frame to include a 30-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. So we'll keep everyone's microphones muted during the webinar, and the questions can be sent during the chat, and we'll address all relevant questions at the end. We ask that you try to keep your questions on topic to the subject matter, and later will be opportunities to ask on the topics related as well. Today we'll be discussing Routes 101, an introduction to key pickup and delivery features within SMART. It is going to be a three-part series, and this time next week we will host Routes 102, which will focus on customization, while Routes 103 the following week will go over pickup and delivery interfaces with the mobile and desktop apps. Please keep in mind that this is a general information session, and we do welcome one-on-one interaction if you would like outside of the webinar. Again, this is going to be a weekly event, and we will host an online session like this every Wednesday at the same time each week. We also plan to have an in-person session at the Clean Show in Atlanta for those of you who will be there in attendance. Note that this meeting is being recorded, and so we continue to improve our quality of service for you guys. In the same spirit of continually improving our service, we are open to feedback and suggestions, and feel free to send those via email to our specific webinar email, which is webinars@smartsystems.com, SMRTsystems.com. And our expert and principal speaker today, Chris Ellis, will be guiding us through routes. He's been with SMART for about 3 years, and in that time, he has managed technical support and has been involved in customer success most recently, sales as well. Please welcome Chris as our speaker for today.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to go over a few key features. And on those features, with those features, we'll tell you how you guys can use those for your different variations of routes and customizations, such as how to manage will call customers, route regulars, and the customer website portal. So I'll go ahead and dive into it, and I'll start by sharing my screen with you guys. So the first thing I want to talk about is going into your actual route configuration and a few features that you want to take note on. I'll use this test B route for an example today, and then you guys can reference this route for any additional questions in the chat, and then we'll continue to use that as the reference going forward for this conversation. And if you're not familiar with the route configuration screen, you'll see a bunch of things such as the route name, description, and then some other settings about where the route runs from and other things like that. Today, I want to focus on some features such as the pickup grace time, delivery grace time, optimization, and then the will call opt-in text message system. The first thing I want to start with is the pickup grace time and delivery grace time answers the question on how do we stop customers from requesting a pickup while the route is running, and how do we stop customers from requesting a delivery before the delivery ends. So the pickup grace time is going to allot you a certain amount of hours before the start time in order for customers to set up a pickup. And then the delivery time is going to be from the time that the route ends, where customers can still request a delivery. So if you're using the text message features, you'll see that some features offer store delivery in those text messages. Customers might get a ready notification, and that ready notification will say something along the lines of, hey, your order is ready. You can come pick it up at the store, or you can request a delivery. If they request that delivery outside of the 12-hour time frame before the route ends, they'll be instantly pushed to the next delivery date. So I'll show you an example of what it looks like for the, I'll show you an example of what it looks like for the customer. I'll actually use myself in this instance. So for the customer, when they're scheduling online, their web portal looks like this. They have the ability to do a pickup and delivery schedule. Now, currently, I have another setting turned on, and that setting allows me to schedule a pickup and a delivery. Today, you'll notice today is the 15th, and my route starts at 8 o'clock a.m. and it ends at 6 p.m. If I schedule a pickup, it's going to automatically push me to the 16th because I'm trying to schedule a pickup outside of the normal allotted time for the grace time. So for my delivery, it does the same thing. For this route, it is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday route. It's going to give you the next available route, and it won't allow you to do a delivery for today, so to speak, right? Once you hit continue, it's going to ask for various things such as taking pictures. And if they're doing this from their mobile phone, it's an easy process. You add some pictures. If they don't need it, you skip it. Delivery instructions, cleaning instructions, and so forth. And then once you do that, you'll review the order and hit confirm. Now that's me using the pickup and grace time for delivery and for pickup. And you'll notice it would not allow me to do anything for today. So this will stop you from running into issues with customers that schedule outside or too rapidly on a delivery that's already active. And I'm going to go back really quick here. So outside of the pickup, grace time, and delivery times, you'll also notice some other features that we use with Smart. Features such as optimization and the will call opt-in text messages. So along with these grace times, another way to really utilize and upgrade and make your routes optimal is to really use the optimization features. So optimization basically will put your routes in order from, let's say, the best possible route with the least amount of time. So it's going to give you the most optimal route based off of time preference, right? How can we complete this route within the 8 to 6 p.m. period with the least amount of traffic, the least amount of stops, and that kind of thing. So once we do that, we also have another option here, right? So we'll enable optimization. Optimization runs automatically. Then you have to set your terms for the optimization. That term could be when people are added to the route. Let's say the store called the delivery driver and said, hey, I still have this bag that you left and I want to add it to the route today. Can you come get it? You can add that person to that stop, or you can add that person to that route. If this setting for always auto optimize as route occurs additional stops is turned on, that means that that person will be added to that route and it will be placed on that route in the best possible place based off the address and the time constraints. If you are not using that feature, optimization will use that person and move that person to the bottom of the route and make them the last option because they were added last. Outside of those two options, you have a bunch of other things that you can do with these routes. For example, another feature that we like to use here, especially for our will call customers and our route regular mixes, is the master to sub route feature. So anytime you do, let's say, a master stop, such as like a condo or a hotel or something like that, and these, let's say that this condo doesn't have a lobby, using a master and sub route configuration for that specific condo would be very helpful. You can probably place all your condos that share the same similar traits into the same route. What it will do is you can create a master stop or a master route. That route will then be the master, and then that sub route, you'll place all the customers that live in the condo building on the sub route. So that way you can see all those customers in the delivery app, and that way you can deliver everything to the appropriate door, especially if they don't have a lobby to host all the cleaning. Outside of the master and sub route feature, the grace pickup time feature and the delivery feature. Optimization has a few other things that you can do with it, such as setting up date and time restrictions that customers can use to select online. If I use these restrictions and set something up between, let's say, 8 a.m. to 8:30, this creates a new window of opportunity that the customer can use. The optimization feature will take this 8 a.m. to 8:30 feature into account when it's optimizing the route. So if I'm customer A and I want my delivery or my pickup to happen at 8 o'clock to 8:30, optimization is going to recognize it's 8 o'clock a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and it's going to probably place that person first on the route based on the start time of the route. Outside of that, you do also have this option to start a strict start mode. Strict start mode, enabling that will make sure that this route runs exactly at 8 o'clock every morning or whatever the start time you guys are using. And then this is something that we'll dive a little bit more into in the next features list. I do want to move on to tell you how this opt-in text message reminders will incorporate into how optimization and how the pickup grace times and everything else works. So opt-in text reminders for will call customers, they typically are turned off by default. Now, this is just for will call customers. By system standard, any route regular or regular customer receives automatic text messages, but we have to treat will call customers a little differently, which is why we created this feature. So this feature allows will call customers to opt into a route, and it will send them a text message and letting them know that, hey, someone's in your area to do deliveries or pickups. Do you need anything for us to pick up? That will call customer will respond yes. Then that way they'll be added to the route. If they respond with nothing, or if they don't respond with anything or respond with no, obviously they won't be added to the route. And then that way you guys save a lot with gas, travel, and just not wasting any time going to these places. This next feature is just how frequently those text messages go out. Always send is a feature that's going to tell the will call customers to send that opt-in message every night before the route day runs, whereas the backroom algorithm will send it once a week for that route. For the first route day of the week, it's going to send it the night before, and that's going to be it. And that's just something to be mindful of when you guys are using the will call opt-in messages. The next thing I want to talk about is how all these settings are universal and your configurations can be mildly different. I know a lot of this is going to be focused today on the will call customers because I think that's what we've received most questions about last time. So with that being said, I also want to talk about the will call features for how we're scheduling routes and what we're doing for these routes when they come in and that kind of thing, right? So in your production settings for your will call customers, you have a few different types of settings you can use. If I can get there in time. So you have settings such as schedule will call deliveries after assembly. What this will do, this will ensure that you don't miss anything that you have in the store, such as bags that aren't racked or aren't ready. So schedule will calls deliveries after assembly will allow you to basically set a delivery date for these items before they're ready. They just have to be assembled. And then schedule will call deliveries on due date. This is always going to force the deliveries to be pushed to their due date. And then that way you guys don't miss anything. And then that way when you check your reports and you go down your list of items that you need and you don't need, that you'll be able to see these things on the delivery manifest, which will bring us to the next setting here, which is don't include orders in a delivery list before their due date. If you don't have the setting turned on, you'll be able to see orders in the manifest days ahead of time if you want to track it that way. But if you don't want to see anything in that list that is not due, then you want to make sure that you turn this setting on. Then the next thing or the next feature that we want to really talk about, and all these features they can also be customer specific, and we can turn these on per customer, per group, or per brand if needed. So we're not limited to just doing it for for the entire company. We can make it pretty customizable. The next thing I want to talk about is some route configurations and some customer features here. So as you can see right now, I'm on a will call on route test B, and on route test B, I have my configuration set for days, right? Not start and end time, just strictly days. So with no actual days or no time slot selections. Another thing you can use is if you're coming into these customers' accounts and you're setting up let's say a one-time stop, you also have this option to use anytime, which is just going to say, hey, put this person on the route. And if it's optimized, it's just going to put them where they best fit. If you need that person with a specific start and end time, just like you saw in the route configuration, you'll use these time slots, and optimization takes those time slots into consideration when scheduling this customer. So if it's, let's say, 7 a.m., and I want to make sure the customer gets there closed by 9 o'clock because they have some big important wet and there's something to go to, and I want to schedule them from 9 a.m. to 9:30. And once I set this and create this new stop, it's going to give that stop this exact time, and you'll see that time right here, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And it's going to prioritize this selection over any other selection that was made that day. While we're on the subject of routes, another thing I would like to discuss is the route regular configuration. So also with route regulars, optimization works the same way. If they have any start and end times or anything like that, it takes that into consideration. And a little bit more about route regulars, which is slightly different from will call, is when you are dealing with route regular customers, your route regulars do not receive opt-in text messages. They received opt-out messages. And the difference between that and that feature is actually used because when we consider someone route regular, we believe that that customer is being visited every day on that route. That's why they have the option to opt out and not opt in. But if you have a customer with erratic behavior or route behavior, we want to make sure that we are setting our customers to the correct route configuration. So for someone like that, I wouldn't make them a route regular. I would probably make them a will call or a route regular by appointment, which will give you the option to kind of select which days you want to go to that customer. Like they always have something on Thursday, but they don't have anything on Wednesday and Tuesday, versus just a route regular where you'll go Monday, Thursday, and Tuesday. Another neat feature that you guys can use for route customers is this: if they're a route regular and they're a typical route regular customer, and let's say they're going on vacation, we all know that after 60 days of inactivity, the text messages will stop going out to these customers. But if you don't want that to happen and your customer says, I'm going on vacation, or something happened and they just want to stop the messages for a while, you want to make sure that you put them on a route hold. This route hold feature is going to allow you to add a time frame of how long to put their route hold on, so they don't receive text messages. That way they don't get inactivated, and that way nothing stops sending to them. You'll set a time frame, we'll say from the 16th onto something like the 28th, and we'll save that in the system. What that will do is it will change the account, and it will basically put that customer on a route hold, and it will not send any text messages out or anything like that. And then that way that customer doesn't miss out. Once the route hold is over, they'll pick up right from where they started. So another setting or another set of features I want to talk about here is going to be customer website. The customer website also deals a lot with your deliveries. So you have a feature here that offers store delivery on the website, but it also offers store delivery in the text messages. If you don't want those text messages to show the text for offering store delivery, the setting just needs to be turned off. This feature is going to allow you to control uh, the amount of text you get on top of the pickup grace time, right? So instead of customers responding to that text saying, yes, we do need something picked up, and it's outside of the grace period, maybe we just don't offer it at all. And then that's something that you may want to turn off. Uh, another set of features that you want to also probably look at if you use a lot of group accounts, master accounts, and things like that, is to the ability to allow sub delivery customers to schedule on the website. This will allow, let's say, condo customers to, if I'm in apartment B, I don't have to set up the condo to be a regular route customer. I can set that condo up to be a will call customer and allow the customers to set their own pickup and delivery online. And then that way, when you go and use the delivery app, you know exactly who needs to get picked up, who doesn't need to get picked up, and they don't have to be associated with a master group account. Earlier, when I showed you the customer website, you did see something that allowed me to do a pickup and a delivery at the same time. So this setting or this feature allows customers to set their pickup and delivery day. So basically, that way they can schedule in advance. Not that many customers need to be set to regular by appointment or regulars. They can be all will call. And if they're setting their pickup and delivery days based off their route, then it helps just kind of clean up the route process a little bit. Outside of that, the limited delivery schedule to the closest route is when you're using an on-demand route. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So Smart does have a feature. That feature allows customers to get placed on the nearest route or any route that is set to on demand. So for example, if you have customers and you want them to be able to schedule online, you would set one of these routes to on demand. This route is now on demand. This pin tells me where it's located. And you might have a bunch of on-demand routes. A pin could be here, another one could be here, and you'll see them all over this map. And then what will happen is when a customer schedules a pickup or delivery, that customer is going to get placed to the nearest pin to their address. And then that way, if this is the only on-demand route, all those customers will come to this route. And maybe you want to filter that out and start assigning people to the routes that you want to, but you can use this route as some type of placeholder or some type of just new customer route kind of thing. And outside of that, the last thing I want to talk about here today is going to be our route manager. So the route manager, and just note, the route manager is for configuring fixed routes and managing and putting routes in order the way you want them to be. So if you're using a feature like optimization, then you won't see that route in this list of routes. Optimization in the system will take care of it. So you wouldn't have a need to come into the route manager to do anything to optimize route. However, if you're not optimizing the routes and you want to use the route manager feature, the route manager is pretty easy. Right now, this is my first stop. This is my fourth stop, but maybe it makes more sense to do, my fourth stop first. My fourth stop first, and then my third stop second, and so forth. And I put number one at the bottom just because it's not optimal to go there first, kind of thing, right? But that route manager is really what you want to use to clean up your routes, organize them, and kind of get them to what you want them to look like. I know the last webinar that we had, we talked a little bit more about how to set up routes and identifying what we need for our route. And a lot of those questions could be fixed with those types of features. And then outside of that, I'll just leave the floor open for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We did have a couple of questions in the chat, and the first one is, once the driver is on their route, can they see the delivery notes a customer created on their phone?
Yes, so if you are in your delivery route and in that delivery right, you'll see you'll go through your stops on your to-do list from top to bottom. When you click on that customer's name, that customer's notes will show in the delivery app. So you should still see those notes and the delivery instructions. If you do run into a situation where something's not working, it might just be some type of configuration, and you might have to reach out to the support team.
Thank you. And the next question we have is how to change geolocation if it's showing the wrong place on the map in GPS.
Like whose question is that? Is that the customer? Is that for the customer's address?
So Alan asked how to change the geolocation if it's showing the wrong place on the map. I'm assuming that would be the customer's address.
Yeah, so like if this customer was showing the wrong address, Alan, what I would do, you would go into the customer's profile. And sometimes if it's like a new development or anything like that, it can run into a problem. But if you go into the customer's account and click on the customer name, if you override the address, you'll use this address. You'll make sure you check to update the deliveries if needed. You'll save that. And then what's going to happen is it's going to ask you for the latitude and longitude. If these aren't accurate, which your best bet is to just input the longitude and latitude of that address, and the pin will relocate itself and update for you.
Great. So the next question is, when drivers make pickups, they create pickup slips, which are placed in each bag. These pickup slips auto-generate 3-day return days when booking and close. How can we change the settings to adjust to the customer's chosen delivery days? Example, pickups made on Monday are to be returned Thursday, but we have route customers who prefer Friday delivery.
I gotcha. So a configuration like that, you would have to reach the support team directly, because then you have to make sure that they set it up correctly and go through the necessary settings for it. Right now, I don't have enough. I don't have any customers set up for that, so I can't show you live. But if you put a support ticket in after this, someone can get you some help.
Great. So that is all that we have for this morning. We thank you guys for joining us, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys' time. Any questions that weren't answered during the webinar, as we said, we'll reach out to you guys personally, or a member of our support team will contact you directly. Again, thank you for joining, and we hope to see you guys again next week.